Bitcoin, we start with 1 hour chart. Just I want to give a quick update. First of all, if you refer to my last analysis, since the price was within here, we discussed how we can look for trade. And I mentioned whoever wants to whoever wants to look for trade by having entry above here within the first or maximum second hours, if the price tag, they shouldn't keep the trade, right? And this is what we get. That's why whoever get the trade for buy from by having entry above here, they shouldn't keep the trade. Okay. Now, what's the next? Okay. And first of all, first the question is whether we should wait for the next drop before we look for the trade, or we should take the trade within this correction. All right. Now, it depends on the strategy the traders are looking for. But the question is whether this one, if we put in relative to the previous low, we can consider as a divergence, or we should wait for the next drop to see the divergence to confirm with the divergence based on 1 hour chart before we look for the reversal. Okay, again, it depends on the strategy the traders are looking for. Some of the traders, they consider this one as a divergence, and some of them, they don't like this, they wait for the next drop. Okay, that's why for sure, if we get one more drop, at that case, we can confirm with the divergence based on 1 hour and 4 hour chart. It can give us better confirmation for the reversal. All right, because if we cannot consider this one as a divergence based on 4 hour chart, but based on 1 hour chart, I mentioned depends on the traders. That's why we don't need to wait for the next drop. If we get the next drop, it can give us better confirmation. That's why we don't need to wait for the next drop. As long as the price is between 27150 following by 28K within this one, any opportunity for buy based on lower time frame, based on 15-minute or 5-minute, we will take it. Then as long as we get into the profit, we have to start to manage or move our stop loss to break even. The reason is if the price reverses from here, at least we are in the trade. But simply we cannot take the trade. We have to have a trade setup before we take the trade, and we should know where is the stop loss and what's the risk and reward. If the traders, they don't want to look for that, they don't want to look for the trade setup, they prefer to get the trade and keep it for the long term, then we prefer, they should wait for the next drop. If we get and conform with the divergence based on 1 hour and 4 hour chart before they look for the reversal. That's why whatever the trade within this curve zone, within this zone, we should trade based on lower time frame, and we should consider as a short-term trade. Okay. By the way, we don't have any trade setup, and having entry above this correction, above here, is not a really good idea at all. If anyone wants to put entry above the top, they should put it above here. And I don't like this way to look for trade when I see this kind of the correction. At least based on, that's why we have to look for the sharp move flag, either based on 15-minute or maybe 5-minute charts. By the way, based on 1 hour chart, I don't see any trade setup yet. And if we move to 4 hour chart, all right, that's why if the price could break this level, we see one more drop, and even we don't need to wait for the price to drop 25K before we take the trade. As long as the price with the break 27150, then we look for 26,500. All right, if the price could break the 26,500, then we can look for 25K. But if not, then from there we can look for the trade setup, because any breakout following a divergence based on 4 hour, even we can confirm with the 1 hour chart. Then if we get any opportunity for buy, we will take it. Okay, that's why. Because now the question is whether this isn't related to what we have here. That's mean we can expect the price to consolidate for longer before we see the continuation, or this one can be as a short term. If I move to a higher time frame, I will show it based on the daily chart. All right. Now, how to look for trade? I mentioned based on 1 hour chart, and for me, I prefer for the next drop based on 1 hour and 4 hour chart to see the confirmation for the divergence. But at this point, we don't see any confirmation. It doesn't mean the price cannot reverse from here. The only question is how to look for the trade, and we prefer to get the trade set up in terms of the risk and reward, and we should know where is our stop loss. All right. And again, based on 4 hour chart, I don't see any trade setup. And if I move to daily chart, similar question, similar explanation. All right. That's why I mentioned based on 4 hour chart, whether this one is going to be corrective similar to what we have here. In that case, may this one turn to internal flat, or this one is going to be similar to what we have here. Okay. But for me, if I want to put this correction relative to what we have here, I prefer to see the breakout of the 27150. As I mentioned, based on 4 hour and 1 hour chart, we can look for the divergence. It can give us a better confirmation for continuation. But if the price consolidate here for longer time, we do the breakout of 27150, then maybe we have to look at the chart differently, and this one become internal flat. Then in that case, we explain if we see the changes. But at this point, I'm looking at this. Okay, but what we have, I mean, we don't have any trade set up. That's why we have to wait. And again, whoever wants to look for trade within this correction, they should look for the trade based on the lower time frame. And in this case, we just follow the chart. If I see any update, I will share. Thanks.